Today we're going to take a quick garden tour, and while this may have felt more like April with all of its cool rainy days, I still wanted to share what's growing and what we've got planted so far, even though I do kind of feel behind. So we're going to check out what's in the greenhouse, what's going on in the garden, and what I would really like to see happen this garden season. I also have a cool tip to share with you on what you can do when you pinch your basil tops. The sound of the rain is something I have always enjoyed, and the pots and plants up here next to the porch are definitely enjoying the showers we've been having. I have a few of these pots made to place elsewhere, we just haven't moved them yet, but I love seeing all the blooms when I approach the porch. So after I pinched the top of the basil plants, I put the pieces in this bowl, and they just totally rooted out. Look at that. They have been in here for a bit. I didn't have to leave them in here, I don't think, for quite this long. But these are definitely ready to go into some soil. And it's like free plants, y'all, while your others are still producing. And there we are, all potted up. We got another one down here in the bucket. But you get the idea. And then these will take off. And then more basil plants. I'm probably going to share these with my mom. Very unusual to have this much stuff still in the greenhouse, and it's like the end of May. This is very unusual, but we have had so much rain and wind that I just didn't find it wise to plant it all out yet. Okay, so I'm down here at one of our in-ground plots, and you can see where I have been hoeing on the weeds. Like this row right here, we went through that one before all the rain came and worked on the weeds. Today I'm working right here so far, and I did a little bit on this end, and I feel like there's a lesson here. Not only that it's really easy, it's easier to get these weeds up after a rain, but also that when there are things that are hard in life, like we're going through a really hard season right now, when there are things that are hard in life, He is still good and He is still faithful. And even though I have oodles of weeds in this garden, I have potatoes, I have corn, I have tomatoes, and I've got plenty of tomatoes in the greenhouse waiting to go out in this row right here. And despite all those weeds, I've still got all of this like growth happening in the garden. And despite this really hard season that my husband and I are in right now, there's definitely going to be growth happening. And I don't know. So I'm like, I come out here because I was frustrated, right? And I started working on the weeds, and the song "Praise God from Whom All Blessings Flow," I just started singing it. I'm not a singer, but He considers it a joyful noise, and so that's what I did. And I just felt like I could share that lesson today. And I think we've got a little bit more rain. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today we've had rain, and I think we're supposed to have some more off and on the next 2 days. So we've got over an inch that we've gotten this week. So it hasn't been a downpour as bad as it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was a significant amount of rain. Hence why I'm behind on these weeds. But I'm grateful for the rain. We had such a drought last garden season, last summer, last year. And I'm like, if that's going to happen again, I can't pour so much effort into here when I don't know if it'll be watered, which is why this area over here has not been tilled or anything yet. He is good and He is faithful regardless, and there's always going to be growth. But anyway, here's what we got going on. So I did have to go through and thin the corn. It's probably still too thick. And you will see random potatoes coming up here and there because that's where I planted last year, and some that were rotten decided to grow. So I've got potatoes down there. But the potatoes for this year are in this row. And they don't go all the way down. They're like right about where that trench is. And some of them are like took off, and others are a little bit slower, but they're coming. And then this front row is designated for my tomato plants and maybe some peppers that are in the greenhouse, so that it would be closest to my water hose. But I'm praying that we don't have to use that much. And this third row I have yet to plant because I don't know what I want to put in it. Last year I did purple hull peas, and then with the drought they just dried up. Like, we didn't get anything. So I'm like, do we do those? Do we try something new? Do I just do another row of corn, which I don't have any more of that particular seed? And if I plant something else, then there might be some like cross-pollination happening. This is Top Hat sweet corn from Southern Exposure, which is in Mineral, Virginia. And I like that they are close-ish to us, and it's like growing at home, you know. But look at the carpet of weeds. I stuck a few onions in the ground right here. They look good. Yeah, so many weeds, but it's okay. It's okay. One of the things that I would love to grow is pumpkins. And I've tried growing pumpkins. Several years ago, I had some in like this large raised bed. And there was too much water coming, like there's an incline down the backyard. And there's too much water. And so, yeah, that didn't work out. And then the next year, I used that plot and just like made hills throughout there. That was new. That plot was new for that year. So I figured I'd have weeds really bad, but it wasn't that bad. The pumpkins came up and they did fantastic. And a lot of them were from saved seed, and I was so excited. So you're probably like, okay, well then what's the big deal? Why are you not growing pumpkins? Well, bugs. In one lump sum answer, bugs. So like it was invasion of the squash bugs, and I would go out and I would pick them off multiple times a day, at least twice a day. And I would get the eggs off and I would kill the bugs. And it was like they just kept snowballing their numbers despite the effort that I was putting in to get rid of them. And I didn't understand. My husband was like, I cannot believe you're putting that much effort into something that you're not even planning on eating. But they make me so happy. And so I wanted to grow the pumpkins. I haven't tried since. I did get my dahlias put in the ground yesterday, so I can share that. And this year I didn't really designate a permanent plot for the area that I wanted to be specifically flowers or specifically whatever. So I did extend the raspberries. So let me just show you. Okay, so if you've been following along, you know that we killed off this whole other section of the yard to extend the raspberries and do away with this row and do away with this row, which is not complete, so don't judge me on that yet. But the idea is we'll have the black raspberries down here and raspberries coming through here, raspberries coming through here, okay? And some room for the road to have some more width to it in the coming years, okay? So the new plot that Colton and I worked on, and if you've been following along, you know we killed off this section of the yard. This is where I stuck the dahlias because I have to dig them up anyway, right? They can't overwinter here. So I have them grouped by type, and this middle is obviously raspberries. But you can see the dahlias, and then there's two randos right there because I had ordered them separately, but it's fine. And then like living on a prayer because this is all new for me, and hopefully it's going to turn out some beautiful flowers. I need to get this pineapple mint put in a pot. But doesn't it look great? Yeah, I had that on the porch last year. Okay, so here are the raspberries that I did not prune as well as I normally do, and so it is crazy town. These are raspberries, the original raspberries. And then the blackberries have like come down, and so I've got to do a better job cleaning up. Yep. And I'm getting ready to get rained on again, so it's more coming. So here's the deal. Tanner's gonna have to be my tunnel man to go in and pick blackberries for us. But these are just loaded. They're a thornless variety that I got from some friends. Just pieced off theirs and grew these. I think we're on year 3 with this plot, and it's just crazy. Last year, I think, is when I decided to make another row right here, because I had originally said I was going to do blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and then I decided that this would not be blueberries. We would extend the blackberries, and we have not run the wire on this row or that back row yet, and then obviously we're going to have to do the raspberries down there. Always the never-ending homestead chores, right? If you feel me, leave me a comment. If you want to know what it feels like to homestead, just make your to-do list of like 35 things and go try to do them all at one time, and then nothing gets finished. That's what it feels like. So I guess we're doing a garden tour. I wasn't planning on it, but you know what? It's all right. So this bed hasn't been fully planted yet because I've been waiting on this weather to improve. However, I did put zucchini starts from the local nursery in because I was hoping to like get a jump on the bugs, right? And I got a baby zucchini off yesterday, or the day before. I think it was yesterday. And there's plenty of blooms on there. Now I need for the sun to come out and for the bees to do their thing. And that big bed will most likely be peppers. All right, so I have all these volunteer sunflowers coming up. I did not plant these here. This is in my blueberry area. Pretty sure the sunflowers being here are like sucking the nutrients away from my blueberries. Because, yeah, we're on year 3 with these blueberry bushes and they're not really growing. The plant gets berries on it, but the bushes are not growing. So I'm open to suggestions on that. Back in the fall, I raked up pine needles and put a bunch of pine needles in this bed. I also need to weed. I'm starting to kill off this section out here so that I can extend and put 2 more blueberry bushes. And I have all these cages here to keep the dog from coming in and peeing on my bushes. But do you see? Like, I've got berries, but the plants themselves, I mean, this is more than it was last year. I put some blueberry food in the soil, or like scattered around earlier this spring. And see how all this grows just like on the ground. So I don't know. Like, I'm open to any and all tips on the blueberries. Okay, very quickly, this area has not been planted out fully either. That was a volunteer tomato that I moved from this box, which is loaded with volunteer tomatoes. Okay, so move that. I've got some dahlias stuck up here. I think one of each kind is stuck up here. This is my new rosemary with some onions shoved in there because this rosemary just died, like it up and died. So I pruned it to give it the benefit of the doubt instead of pulling it up. And I don't think I'm pretty sure it's dead, so we're just gonna pull that up. These were some onions that I thought were no good, so I just shoved them in the ground to see, and they're coming up. Pretty sure that's a weed. I gave it some time just to see if it was a flower. I have calendula seeds in there. Let me tell you about the calendula. The calendula does not want to come up for me this year. I have planted it in multiple areas and I mean slinging seed, and it's not coming up. I think my seed's just old because I typically do not have a hard time getting that to come up. So I have some seed starts or plant starts ordered on my Azure order for calendula because it's not something I can find in a nursery around here either. Some peppers. I had sown cucumber seeds all in there. I think those seeds are too old too because nothing has come up. Look at this glorious apple mint. I need to come out here and clip this to make some more tea. I saved butternut seeds. They are really coming up. I'm gonna have to thin that to go up over the trellis. Peppers, basil. This is some lemon balm that I saved for my mom. Bee balm, Swiss chard. Look at this. These are malufas. Malufas. They're gonna go up over the trellis too. Parsley, looking great after this rain. This is here to keep the cats out. Lemon balm, thyme. And then these empty spots down here. This one's probably gonna be flowers. Bee balm. This came back from last year, that mossy stuff. What do you call it? Portulaca. Yeah. And then all of these little volunteer flowers are coming up down here. There's a catnip. There's a zinnia. This is catnip. I've got lettuce sown in here. I'm praying that we can get something off of that before the heat gets it, but I just don't know. This broccoli, I had already harvested and put out more florets. I need to come harvest these, but this is probably too far gone. And then this will come out and we'll put something new here. Probably some tomatoes here. I'm definitely getting wet, you guys. Echinacea. Peppers. I haven't decided what's going in here. I may do some flowers back there and then more peppers up here. So, very, very quick garden tour. But spring is going well as far as moisture. But we've had some cool days and so I feel behind, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to get everything planted probably this weekend because next week the heat returns. Also, we have cats everywhere. Y'all come get a cat. Today's an exciting day. I am headed to a foundational wellness class at a local farm. If you've been to Homesteaders of America or even to Polyface Farm, you may have heard of Kim and Jac Fuhrmann from Our Father's Farm. Together, along with their daughter Sheila, they run Abiding Wellness. And we spent the weekend learning about the foundations of true wellness and good health. We were fed amazing homegrown foods. Good morning! We are headed to day 2 of the foundational wellness class at Our Father's Farm. Those ugly solar panels. So yesterday was absolutely incredible. It focused on the spiritual foundation and then went into germ theory versus terrain theory and the parasympathetic and sympathetic systems, and not having fear when something pops up, and we're going to go into more protocols today. On day 2, we talked about different systems and how they support one another, had a breakout session in the kitchen and learned how to ferment, and we even talked about building our home apothecary. It was so nice to be in the company of like-minded individuals and really grow that community. I'm also excited for the next 3 levels of courses that Our Father's Farm plans to offer in regards to wellness. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.